Hey, welcome to the conversation. You're with Andy Mason, and this is authentic conversations around the messy intersection of faith, family, and business. And why do I have to deal with the messy? Why can't it just be clean? Well, if you're asking that same question, welcome to humanity. For as long as there will be humans on the planet, there is going to be messy. The best organization or the easiest might be a single person, you, and there might be no mess, or actually there will be mess, but it'll just be what you create with yourself. The reality is life is messy, and the more people you have around you and the more people that you interact with, the more messy it's going to be. And I get to continually adjust and grow and change. And I'm continually struck by this, that in spite of our mess, our brokenness, our dysfunction towards one another, Jesus became human and actually died as a human. He took on that cost, that price, so that we can be restored. So I exhort you, let's learn and lean into what he has shown and taught us so that we start to see more people around us thriving. So why am I even talking about this mess right now? Well, I hated confrontation. And I realized and I've learned that actually part of that was because I hated myself. Now you'd say, well, hang on a moment, what do you mean? Well, here's this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love others as you love yourself. I grew up in an environment where, because of my personality and style and some teaching that came in, as in love covers a multitude of wrongs, I would just forgive people when they did something. But the truth is, I didn't fully believe in myself. I didn't fully love who I am or what I was. And I lacked the confidence and the love and the practical skills with which to say, hey, what you just did is not okay. Those kinds of conversations were lacking in my life, and I bore some consequences of that, as in my avoidance of confrontation is enabling a dysfunctional behavior. Whereas the truth is, if I truly love myself and I truly love you, I will say something. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. So I've learned a few things. So we're going to be leaning into this. I feel like it's constantly with, I'm leading 3 mastermind groups. One's global, 2 are across the States, and there's about 6 individual clients that I work with on every 2 weeks. We meet one-on-one. And in addition to that, we do workshops, we conferences, and I'm continually interacting with leaders of other organizations. Here's what I know. And I don't know if this is constant, it seems to be up and downs, but the majority of those conversations right now are not about the extra tweaks that we can make to a company to generate more purpose and meaning and impact. It's mostly about our personal struggles and conflict with others, whether that's a spouse, a child, ourselves, or employees. That's the primary challenge that's going on right now. And I don't know about you, but if you look at any news media, a global conflict, it's all humans. So what can we do about that? Well, what I know is if I don't develop the skills and the heart of the ability to be able to confront in a healthy way, I will stunt and sabotage my growth as a leader and a contributing member of society, which is why so many people, I mean, who was it? Was it Martin Luther King that said, the way that evil advances in the world is only for good people to remain silent, as in avoiding confrontation, pretending there's nothing going wrong, telling ourselves, well, love just believes the best. Yeah, love does do that, but love also confronts, but doesn't manipulate or control by withdrawing connection. It stays connected, believing the best, and walks with one another through the challenge. So here's 5 things that I've learned in this process that's going to help you. I'm going to give you some resources to go further into this, and I trust that this is of value to you. So firstly, do you find it easy to give someone constructive feedback or respectfully disagree? To literally just say in the middle of a conversation, I'm not sure if I agree with that. Let me get back to you. I mean, it was only a few years ago that I actually was given that phrase that remarkably has helped me. That's the skill sets with which to respectfully disagree. It's called confrontation. Nobody that I know loves it. Many people try to avoid it, and in doing so make situations worse. The problem is walking through disagreements and feedback is the only way to a healthy relationship with two powerful people. Confrontation is my friend. It is the pathway to deeper relationship. When I'm communicating myself to you, I disagree with that. I love that. I'm struggling with that. I don't understand that. That's all vulnerable communication that leads to greater intimacy, or it just reveals to you that you never had a connection to start with. So we're going to come back to that. I've already mentioned I grew up with avoiding confrontation. I coded my avoidance in terms of serving or being loyal or honor or love over looks. But the truth is I was partnering with fear. I refused to confront because I was afraid that in doing so I would lose connection. The truth is, if you cannot disagree or give feedback to someone around you, you don't really have a connection. If I'm avoiding confrontation to protect a connection, my connection is built on a lie. I'm faking it. The only way that we build intimate, truth-telling connection is to exchange what you're truly feeling, what you truly believe, and in the process of that, we build healthier together. That means I have to disagree with you at some time. If you never disagree, you have a very shallow connection. That never results in authentic conversation or connection. I've been on a long journey of learning healthy confrontation. It starts with losing the fear of disconnection. For me personally, it was a journey of hopping on a plane, heading to Russia all alone, having my wife give me some constructive feedback, and me just being like, oh my gosh. Now, the truth is, she'd been trying to tell me that for months, but this was the first time it kind of got through my thick skull. And I get onto a plane and two things happened. One, I opened up Psalm 73 and the Lord spoke to me out of that. It was so powerful. It's like a personal encounter moment that healed and restored my heart. Secondly, I was reading Bob Hassan's book, The Business of Honor. And although I've taught and read and understand the orphan cycle and the orphan spirit, it's like this struck me in a new way. And that the evidence of an orphan heart is the fear of losing connection. I realized, oh my gosh, that is me. I'm afraid of losing connection with people, so I pretend and I cover and I fake it. Whereas the truth is, we didn't have the connection to start if I'm unwilling to communicate truth. So I've learned it only happens as I begin to be true to myself, to value who I am, and to love myself. Love doesn't come from myself. It's not something self-help or made up. It's Jesus. When I lean in and become more and more connected and in union with Him, love manifests. That's the key. His love is the only thing that chases away fear. Jesus is the only source that can provide me the never-ending supply of love and value I need to anchor my identity and empower me to confront in a healthy way. If I'm looking to a person to give my basic needs of love, I'm always going to be disappointed. Whereas with Christ and this union and relationship with Him at the center, that's where I've got to keep going. The Lord is my shepherd. I always have more than enough. My comfort, my affection, my love, my significance, my satisfaction, my security, my identity is anchored in Him. So I've got to keep coming back to, where's the broken part in me? What does God want to do and fulfill in me so that I can then be a healthy friend, partner, spouse, business colleague, whatever it may be to others. So, as I grow in being free from fear of disconnection, how do I confront in a healthy way? Here's 5 things to get you going. Number 1, get your facts clear. Now, separate the facts from your feelings. Emotions are always triggered when you experience a disagreement or offense, and it can easily cloud our judgment. Go back through what happened and ask yourself, what are the facts? And is that true, or is that my version of the truth? Now, here's a really challenging one. So many people get offended by what others are saying, what others said or didn't say. They don't know whether it was fact or not. It's what someone else said about something or someone said about me. That is called gossip, and it never results in something productive. It does result in the accusing finger, the pointing of the finger. It does result in disconnection. So I challenge you, go back to, is that the truth? Or am I perpetuating something that is a feeling or an opinion or a translation or interpretation of the truth because it's hurt my feelings? And if I just own that, perhaps I can get to what's really behind it. So is that the truth, or is that your version of the truth? Just be honest and real about that. Number 2, get humble. Appeal to the person rather than just pointing out what's wrong. Hey, I want to meet with you and tell you what you're doing wrong. Yeah, that's not the goal of any confrontation. The goal of confrontation is deeper connection. That's the heart. That's the intended outcome, which I'm jumping ahead of myself. So get humble. It is very rare that people intentionally want to perpetrate evil on those around them. Now, we hear of that in conflicts and wars and far, far away. But it's very, very rare that the people around you right now are wanting to perpetrate evil on your life. And if that is happening, it's highly unlikely that you'd be watching this video right now. So I'm talking about you and me and the people around them. It's highly unlikely that they have an evil intent. So more commonly, it is ignorance or poor communication or a low situational awareness. Low situational awareness is our inability or low ability to understand how my words affect others, what is really going on, and the difference between what I'm saying and what you are hearing. That's low situational awareness. Now, in our family, we jokingly call it frontal lobe development, delayed frontal lobe development, where a lot of young men will do things and then think about it afterwards. Well, some adults are the same, and it's not just men. It's actually doing things and being unaware of our effect on the people and the environment around us when we do something. So, approaching them with a spirit of humility is, rather than arrogance or pride, is that arrogance and pride is that I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to convince you that no, that's the wrong way. Go in humility. Jesus didn't consider it robbery being equal with God. He was right, and yet he humbled himself and came as a human being, as an infant, and then gave himself to the point of death. He modeled for you and me what humility looks like, which is to serve, is to lay down. I laid down my right to be correct, to win, in order that we would grow in connection and healthy and together. So, number 1, get your facts clear. Number 2, get humble. Number 3, get bold and free of intimidation. Do not be wishy-washy or afraid of death. If I'm afraid of losing connection, I'm never going to have a healthy confrontational conversation with you, because I'm always going to water down or pad what I'm saying. I've got to come in with 100% of the truth. Ford Taylor, in his book, Relational Leadership, is an outstanding resource I'm going to remind you again of at the end, but it's going in pre-forgiveness, going in humility, and going in 100% of the truth. I care about you more than I care about how you feel about me, so I'm going to speak the truth, knowing that this may affect our relationship, but I cannot afford to be silent and risk you harming yourself or harming others, which is what's going on if I say nothing. So just remember that the only way for evil to advance is for good people to remain silent. And I'm not talking about other good people. I'm talking about you. When you remain silent about the painful things going around, or you just shout noise and add to the noise, social media noise, rather than having a conversation with that person. Hey, Andy, when you said this is what I heard. Can I give you some feedback? Those are the kind of things that we need to do with one another to have these healthy conversations. So, where have you partnered with fear and intimidation that you need to repent or change your thinking before moving forward with the confrontation? How may this behavior on your part have actually enabled the situation. So that starts with, Father, forgive me because I've been enabling this around me because of my silence, because really I don't love that person. I've just been protecting myself. So I need to repent from that, for being selfish and self-centered. And actually, if I'm truly putting others first, I will humbly and with 100% love communicate truth. Own your part, then move forward without shame and without hesitation. Number 4, get clear on intended outcome. What do you want as a result of this confrontation? What is the outcome that you want? Do you want them just to admit that they're wrong? Well, that's not a good outcome. Are you wanting a healthier connection? Are you wanting to deepen the connection? Are you wanting to advance further? Are you wanting to prevent? Or what if you communicated ahead of time? Hey, my intended outcome is that. Or just say, I'm really scared that you continue this and this is what happens. Think ahead. What do you want to leave this conversation with, knowing that you cannot control that, but you're clearly communicating your intended outcome? What could that look like? The clearer you are on what you need as an outcome, the clearer you can move into the confrontation. Again, check your assumptions. Is that outcome realistic? Is it doable? How could this intended outcome be interpreted by the other person involved? I've been in a conversation where the person up front said, "You're not going to get me to change my mind." And I said, I'm not here to get you to change your mind. I'm here to communicate me. Danny Silk says, intimacy is into me. See, I'm communicating myself and how I am experiencing you. What you do with it is you. Now, the funniest thing is by the end of that conversation, he was admitting that he was, and looking at it, seeing it differently. But if I'm going in there in order to win, lose is never going to be a healthy outcome to a connection, to a communication, to a relationship. And number 5 is get prayed up. There are always two sides to a situation. One seems right until the other is heard. How often have we done that? We've heard one side of the story and we get all wound up, and then we realized, oh my gosh, there's a completely different perspective when you hear the other person involved. Stop it, pause, get prayed back, humble yourself, check in with the Lord. Is there anything that I need to deal with first? If I'm going in with a pointing finger, I don't want to partner with the accuser. I want to partner with, like Daniel in the book of Daniel 9, we have sinned, we have done wrong. And I'm going to come in with that spirit of reconciliation to, as much as it depends on me, work towards a deeper connection, a healthier, more vulnerable, more intimate, more communication of truth, well-being contributed on both sides so that we both win in all that God has given us to do. So, Jesus is the only source of all truth and wisdom, and he gives you insight, questions to ask, courage to ask it, and the comfort when or if it goes bad. Will it go bad? Quite possibly. There's humans involved. But if you will keep your love on, if you walk in pre-forgiveness, if you'll keep moving forward, knowing that this person is not bent on evil. If you're trying to have a conversation with a terrorist, that I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the conversation with an adult who is mature in the environment with you. We'll leave the rest to law enforcement, special forces. They're my friends in a different department. But for you and I, this is about how do I navigate healthy adult conversation with someone that is not bent on evil. There's someone that has a heart to grow, that may or may not be ignorant or unaware of how they're affecting others. And they're relying and requiring you to say something if you are a friend. And finally, I need the courage to say something, to be strong and courageous. So here's those resources I recommended. Number 1, Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk. Great book. Number 2, Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown. Number 3, Crucial Conversations by Vital Smarts. And number 4, Relational Leadership by Ford Taylor. I trust this is of value to you. Hey, don't hesitate to send us any questions or comments. Contact@heavenandbusiness.com, and I look forward to seeing and talking with you again next week.